So coming to today's class, we are going to discuss about exception handling. So exception handling is basically nothing but error handling. So if you get any error, okay, so your program should will generally will stop there, right? So if at all in your code, if there is any error happening, so directly there itself your program will stop and it will show you the error. So exception handling, what happens is it will try to like uh, give you the functionality. It will give you the advantage of capturing the error and also continuing with the alternative code. Okay, so you can write alternate code. Okay, if any failure happens in your code, okay, in your main code, something like that. Okay, so there are two things that two keywords that we use here. Okay, so one thing is try. Okay, try, and the other one is except. Okay, try and except are the two blocks we use to write the code. Okay, so let's start writing. So generally, first of all, let's get to know some of the errors that we get generally. Okay, so there are a lot of errors that we get. So once you know what kind of errors are coming, then it is easy to understand or write how to write the exception handling and all. Okay, so let's write some code, wrong code. Okay, and we'll try to generate some errors. Okay, so let's do it. So first of all, I'm going to write some uh, wrong code. Okay, so first of all, let me do one thing. Print a. So basically a is not defined, so it is throwing an error called name error. Okay, name error, basically that particular variable is not defined, so that's why it is throwing an error. Okay, so a is equals to, let's say, 10.5. So for this one, let's say if I apply uh, so for this one, let's say if we apply any operation. Okay, uh, something like that. One second. Hmm. Okay, so a divided by 0, so we get an error called zero division error. So when you are dividing by 0, it is not possible. So generally dividing by 0, generally it will be it is not possible in mathematical, in Python. So that's why it always throws the error like this: zero division error. Okay, zero division error. And let me do one more thing. B is equals to ABC. Okay, so for this one, let's say if I'm applying integer int of b, so it says value error. So invalid literal for int with base 10. So for ABC, we cannot convert it into integer, obviously. So that's why it is throwing value error. Okay, value error. So like this. And let me create a dictionary. Uh, dict1, let's say key 1 and value 1. So let's say I've created a dictionary and let me call dict1 of key 2. So it says key error key 2. That particular key 2 is not there, obviously, so that's why it is showing me the key error. Okay, so key error, value error, zero division error, name error. So like that, there are lots of different errors we have generated. Okay, now we can handle this exception. Okay, instead of throwing it an error and stopping the code in the middle, so we can write a try except block and continue the alternate piece of code that we wanted. Okay, so let's do one thing. So let's take the first one, which is name error. Okay, print a directly. So now we will try to generate something like that, print some x. Okay, same error. So what I'll do is I'll write the same code by adding it into try and except blocks. Okay, so try and except blocks is nothing but you can write a try like this. Okay, try, and inside the try you can write your uh, code, whatever the code that you wanted to write. Okay, x. Okay, try printing x. Okay, we are trying to print a variable, and there is an alternate code that we can write in except block. Okay, and we'll say if this particular x is not there, then we can write our piece of code x is equals to some 10, and then I'll write print of x. Okay, so here if this is failing, okay, then it comes to this block, and let me write one more thing. So print let's say inside except block, inside except block. So execute this. Now we can clearly see that, so this particular part is failing, so that's why it came to this block. So that's why we got a print inside except block, and we are printing that x value by creating a variable, and we are printing it. So if the variable x is already there, then it would have printed here itself. Okay, if as it is not there, it is not going to go, it is not going to print that, and it is coming to the except block. Okay, and there is one more advantage of except block, so where we can actually capture what exception the try block is, I mean what error we received in the try block. We can capture that error name, and we can print that inside the except, something like this. So I'll copy the same piece of code, and instead of x I'll put some z. Obviously this is not there, so I'll write z here, z. So beside except you can write exception as ex, and then I'll print error occurred is ex. Okay, so I'll write string of ex, string of ex. Okay, so execute this. Now it says error occurred is name z is not defined. So we are in the inside except block, and we are printing that value type. So that means any kind of exception, okay, any kind of exception it can tackle. Okay, any kind of exception it can tackle. Okay, so like this you can capture the exception. Okay, and once you are capturing the exception, then it is going to I mean we can write our statements, print statements, and we can write it. Okay, something like this. So, and one more thing, so below try you can write multiple number of except blocks. Okay, so like this try, you can let me write one thing, print j. Okay, and you can write except. Okay, so there is one more way. So here we know that exception is name error, right? So name error is the thing. So what I'll do is I'll copy this. So it will accept only the name errors. Okay, it will accept only the name error if I am writing like this. So I'll say print, so j is not defined. Okay, j is not defined, so we are in except block. Okay, something like this. And next we say except, so I'll write 0 division error. Okay, so I'll write print, so given operation cannot be performed. Okay, so I can write something like this. Okay, so print j, it will come to name error. It will if as j is not there, it comes to the name error. Okay, so let me execute this one. Okay, so j is not defined, so we are in the except block. Okay, so given operation cannot be performed, so here also right, so we are in except block. Okay, so j is not defined, so we are in the except block. Let's say we define j. Okay, let's say we define j, and j is equals to 20. So we are printing j, and then we'll do zero division error. Okay, we'll try to get a zero division error. So what we'll do is print j divided by 0. Okay, j divided by 0. At this point we'll be getting an error. Till this point it will be printed. Okay, so let me write more. So inside try block. Okay, inside try block we are printing the value of j. So execute this. So inside try block 20 is printed, and then it came to given operation cannot be performed, so we are in the except block. This particular line is executed. So whenever any particular error comes, okay, any particular error comes, it goes to that point only. So that's why it is routed to zero division error. Okay, like that you can write n number of blocks. Okay, you can write n number of except blocks below try. Okay, so that is one thing. And one more thing is that let's say let's generate one more error. Let's take a list 1 2 3 4 6. Okay, so now let me do one thing, list 1 of 7. Okay, so index error, as there are only till 5th index. Okay, so in as per the positions, it starts from 0 to 5 only here, right? So 1 to 6 values which are in the positions from 0 to 5 only. So if I am calling for the 7th position, obviously it is not there, it is throwing the index error. Okay, so I can copy the code. Here what I'll do is uh, I'll remove this zero division error. Let me write this list 1. Okay, and now what I'll do is I'll print this, print of this. Okay, and except, so here I'll write index error. I'll copy this error. It has to be exactly like this only. Okay, you cannot give it is case sensitive guys. Okay, you cannot give smaller cases or bigger cases like that. Okay, so I'll say provided index position doesn't hold any value. Okay, so we are in except block. Okay, it is clearly that when I execute this, so j is defined, this will be printed. We are defining a list 1, but when we are printing the 7th position, it will get an index error. So that's why it will be this line will be printed. So provided index position doesn't hold any value, so we are in except block. Okay, but then all this, okay, writing multiple number of except statements and all, writing all this, it is better to write only one single time. Okay, so let's copy this. Let's copy this and let me paste it here. So I'll print I'll write exception like above. Okay, so exception as ex. Okay, so here I'll directly print the exception. Okay, print exception occurred is equal to, so I'll write string of exception. Okay, string of exception. So this as ex, you can write anything guys. Okay, you can write anything like ABC also you can write. Okay, you can write your name also. Okay, anything is fine. So if I'm putting like this, now I'm just printing the exception as this name. Okay, I'm giving that variable. So execute this one, it will find exception occurred, list index out of range. Okay, so change this one. So I'll write a comment here. You can write any variable name for exception. Okay, exception. So I'll copy this, I'll put here ex only. Okay, put ex, the same thing. Okay, doesn't change. Okay, so the thing is here you can write any number of, okay, you can write any number of except blocks, or you can write one single except block and you can try to tackle all that at a time. Okay, you can try to tackle all that at a time. Okay, so one more thing is that, so when you are writing this try except block, it will handle almost all the exceptions. Okay, almost all the errors except syntax error. Okay, except syntax error, everything can be handled because syntax should be always correct. Okay, so syntax error doesn't come into exception handling. So syntax error is something like this. So if um, 1 greater than 3 or 1 less than 3, okay, and I'll write print true, something like this. So this is a syntax error. Okay, it is an invalid syntax because it is missing a colon and also tab space, of course. Okay, so as it is missing a colon, it is showing a syntax error. Okay, so this one, if you put in a try and except block, it doesn't work. Okay, it will show, it will throw the same thing. So copy, so I'll write like this and I'll write except exception as ex. Okay, I'll print the exception. So it will still the same. Okay, still same like error. So normally in the previous blocks when we write try and except, it is normally printing our statements, but for the syntax errors it doesn't happen like that. It will always stop the code. Okay, so except syntax error, any kind of error can be handled using the exception handling case. Okay, using the exception handling case, any kind of error can be handled. Okay, and there's one more thing. Other than try except, there is also one more block that you can write, which is called finally. Okay, finally. So finally is nothing but once you write try and except. Okay, so let me copy his. So after this one, let's say I write finally block. So this is not mandatory guys. Okay, writing finally block is not mandatory. Okay, if you want to write separation of the code, so that means, so if something happens, if you suspect that something happens in the try block, so you write this exception block, and if you want to write alternate code, you can either write in except block or you can either write in finally block. Okay, that's your wish. That's why finally is not mandatory. Okay, finally block is optional. Okay, so but this will be executed. Okay, whenever you write finally block, that will be executed for sure. Okay, so this is optional. So this is optional. So let's say even though I write correct code which doesn't go into the except block. Okay, so let's say here I'll do print list one of 0 only. So that means this 4 lines of code here is correct. Okay, this 4 lines of code is correct. So that means it doesn't go to except block because there is no error occurring in the try block. So let's see what happens when we even write finally block also. So even though there is no error, finally the block finally block will be executed for sure. Okay, so this doesn't depend whether this there is an error or not, it doesn't dependent on that. Okay, so finally block always executes. Okay, finally block always executes whether your exception occurred or not, it doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. You can write any piece of code that you want, so that's why it is completely optional. Okay, it is completely optional. It's your wish whether you wanted to write a piece of code in except block or finally block. That is completely your wish. Okay, so this is how exception handling works. So what did we do? We have generated multiple errors using wrong code. Okay, so we have written some wrong piece of code, and using try and except blocks we try to handle the exceptions. Okay, and we can write multiple except blocks. Okay, you can write multiple except blocks with the name, with the error names exactly as it generates. Okay, case sensitive. Okay, the names are very case sensitive. If you are writing incorrect, and that will be again another error. Okay, so you either mention the name correctly, or you can use a single except block with the exception. Okay, and you can print that exception and you can write your piece of code. Okay, so this is very helpful in writing our code. Okay, always it is better to use try and except blocks, because it will show us the error, what happened. Okay, and it will not stop in the middle. Okay, the execution won't be stopped in the middle, and we have an advantage to write the code continuously. Okay, alternate code we can write. If we suspect if there is any error like that, we can write alternate code in the except block or finally block, and then we can continue writing the code. Okay, so this is how it works. And one more thing is that inside try and except block you can write again try and except. Okay, so say uh, I'll copy this, and let it be, and inside of this again I can write try. Okay, I'll write after this. Okay, try. I'll print. So I suspected that like let's say list of 7. Here I'll write I suspected that there might be an exception, so that's why I'll print list of 6, even though this will also fail. And except I'll write again another exception. Okay, except exception as ex. Okay, and then I'll print uh, new exception will be string of ex. Okay, so now I am writing again another try and except block. You can write like this. Okay, you can write n number of try and except blocks inside again try and except block. Okay, so it's a nested loop kind of thing. Okay, so new exception list index out of range. Okay, new exception, and here also again you can write finally. Okay, so finally I'll say print, so list of list 1. Okay, so or I'll say the length of list is length of list. Okay, something like this. So the length of list is only 6, so we cannot print the 7th position. Okay, so like this you can write the try and except block again inside of the except, or even let's do one thing. So the same piece of code I'll cut it here, I'll write here. Okay, so I can write here also, not a problem. Okay, execute it. So exception occurred, list index out of range. Here itself it was tackled. Okay, here itself it was tackled. So this exception block is executed. 1 second. So this failed here. Oh sorry, obviously this failed here itself, so it came to this block. Okay, so I'll just comment this down and I'll execute it. Now you see, till this part it is fine, the code is fine, and now it came to try block and it is saying that, so it was trying to print this particular thing, so it is failed, so that's why it came to new exception. Okay, new exception, and then it is trying to print the list, sorry, length of the list, so it is printing that length of the list, and then so this piece of code is fine. Okay, this piece of code is fine, and then it came to finally block. It did not reach this part at all. Okay, this part it wasn't reached at all, because whatever the failure happened in this block only, it was rectified. Okay, in this block only it was rectified. Okay, so that means there is no error happened in this whole code, so that's why it did not reach it to this except block. Okay, so error is here, so it reached this except. Okay, error is inside of this try block, so that's why it reached to the corresponding except block. Okay, and then finally is printed, finally is printed. Okay, so like this you can write your try except finally. So inside finally also you can write try except finally. Okay, not only inside finally, you can write inside a for loop, you can write in a while loop, you can write inside an if loop. Okay, inside functions, anywhere you want you can write this try and except blocks. Okay, so that it will be very easy to handle your errors. Okay, so that is the case. So this is exception handling. Okay, any doubts till this part, anyone? Okay, I hope it was clear. Wishes. Okay, fine then. uh, I've got some. Okay, coming to the next case. Next thing is file handling. Okay, file handling is basically nothing but, so we are going to deal with files now. Okay, so there are different kinds of files, right? So text files, CSV files. Okay, so like that there are different kinds of files, but CSV files and also there is much easier way. Later we will deal with the CSV files or Excel sheets, all that. Okay, so but now normally if we wanted to write any new file, okay, any text file and all, we'll try to see that. Okay, for CSV files, Excel sheets, and also we will have a package called Pandas, so which is core part of our Python programming in this session, in this whole Python session. Okay, so we'll take care of handling Excel sheets and CSV files and Pandas. Okay, but in coming to the case of file handling, we'll see uh, creating a file. Okay, reading a file, reading a file, and reading a file. So write adding data to existing file. Okay, something like this. Okay, so we are going to see some of these file handlings. So first of all, to use file handling, we need to get to know about paths. Okay, how to read, how to like know the paths. Okay, where we are currently. Okay, where to store the file. Okay, if we want to store a file in a specified path, okay, where we can store. Okay, or else how do we know what files are there in the current working directory, like that. So those all things we have to know first. Okay, so for that case we need to import one package called OS. Import OS. OS is operating system. Okay, import OS. So inside OS there are lots of functions. Okay, user predefined functions that are already present inside OS. Okay, so OS dot click on tab and you will see lots of functions. Okay, there are lots of functions, but we are not going to discuss all that. We'll just see how to find out where we are, I mean which path we are. Okay, how to change the directory, how to make a directory, make a folder, like that. Okay, so os dot, so you can use uh, get cwd. Okay, get cwd is nothing but current working directory. Okay, so getting current working directory. Okay, os dot get cwd, execute it. Now it is saying this is my path. Okay, so I am currently in this path. Okay, and if you want to create a folder, okay, let's say if you want to create a folder, so for that you can do make dirs. Okay, making a directory. So let's do one thing. So let's create a directory called sample files. Okay, execute. And to see what files are there, okay, to see what files are here, obviously sample files folder is created. Okay, but if you wanted to see what files are all there inside your uh, directory, okay, os dot list dir. So currently these are all the folders, sorry, all the files that are present in my um, directory. Okay, in this particular uh, folder, okay, in this particular path. So these are all the files that are present. Okay, and if you want to see the files that are present in another path, okay, so let's say os dot list dir. Okay, I wanted to see all the files that are present in this folder, sample files folder. Okay, in that case what I can do is, so I'll write sample files slash, okay, and execute it. And of course we have created just now. Okay, sample files folder doesn't have any files. Okay, sample files folder doesn't have any file, that's why it is showing empty list. Okay, if there are any files, okay, let's do one thing. Let's create a folder inside sample files. Okay, inside sample files let's create a folder, and then we will list down all the files that are present, files or folders that are present inside that. Okay, os dot make dirs. Okay, I'm creating a directory. So inside sample files, I'll create one more directory called um, small small files. Okay, so let's do this, execute it. And now I'll execute this same code which I have executed above. And now it is showing that there is one folder called small files. Okay, that was created, sample files, small files. Inside small files nothing is there, obviously we did not created anything. Okay, so like this you can list down. And one more thing, here you can mention any path you want. Okay, say for example, let me open this one. Okay, I'll copy this path w colon slash let me open something else. Okay, so let's say this is my new path, and sorry, this is my new path, and I will copy, and I'll try to list down all the files that are present in that path. Okay, so execute this, and it is going to show you all the files that are present in that particular path. Okay, so there are all of this like this. Okay, so you can mention any path you want. Okay, you can mention any path you want and you can give. Okay, let me give let's go to another folder. Let's say this one, I'll go to users. Okay, so I can give this path C start list dir. Okay, and give that path, execute it. Okay. Let's use like this. Okay, so actually we can use like this, or double slashes also are fine. Okay, but here I think it is using as an escape character, so that's why it is failing, but that's okay. So you can write like this. Okay, So you can write like this, double slashes or a single slash. Okay, always try to use it like this only. Okay, this slash, try to use front slash, don't use the backslash generally. So try to use the forward slash. Okay, and then you can find out all the files that are present inside it. Okay, so list dir, inside list dir you can give any path anywhere. Okay, so currently we are in somewhere in the w, okay, w directory. Okay, in the w directories, in the w drive we are trying to call C drive data. Okay, C drive data. So like that, any from anywhere else you wanted to see what files are present in a particular path, you can mention that path and you can see the list of files present in that path. Okay, so like this. And now we get to know how to find out paths. Okay, where to like how to redirect to another path. Okay, one thing I forgot, redirect to another path. For this one, what I can do is os dot chdir, change directory. Okay, change directory. So that means you can change your path to another path that you wanted. Okay, say I'll use uh, sample files as my current path. So now if you do get cwd, so it says now my current path is this one. Okay, it is not this path. Okay, now I am currently in this one. Any operation, any file that I create, it will be saved inside sample files only. Okay, it will save in sample files only. So let's start creating some files. Okay, file creation. Okay, file creation. So let's create a sample text file. Okay, let's create a sample text file. So to create files, okay, to create files, you need to use a keyword called with open. Okay, so I'm going to open a new file, new dot txt. Okay, you need to give the extension also. Okay, you need to give the extension followed by what operation that you wanted to do. So read operation you'll have, write operation you'll have, append operations you will have, like that. Okay, so first of all, this new.txt file is not there, so I'm creating it. So when you're creating it, you need to use the write operation because I wanted to write some data inside it. So as f, okay, as you can use anything. Okay, as f, as Avinash, as a, as abc, anything you want you can use as an alias. So when I'm putting as f, that means this whole thing, okay, this new.txt, this operation, everything will be stored inside f. So if you wanted to write something, you can use something like this, f dot write, f dot write. Any text you wanted, you can write here. Okay, so execute it. Now if you open sample files, now new.txt is created with the data that we have provided. Okay, with the data that we have provided. Okay, so this is how we are creating. Okay, this is how we are creating. And let's change the path. Okay, now as we are in this path, sample files, it is created in that path only. Now let's change the directory, os dot chdir. Okay, I will change the path to this one. So I will use \. Oh, sorry, to use without quotes. Okay, so now os dot list dir. See, I'm currently in this path now. Okay, you can see here sample files. There is no new.txt. Now I'll copy the same code, okay, and I'll paste it here, and I'll execute the same thing. So again I'll execute os.listdir, and you can see new.txt created here. Okay, so go back, new.txt created here. Okay, new.txt is created. Fine. So like this you can create, okay, like this you can create any file anywhere you want. Or else if you want to create somewhere else, okay, instead of in this folder, in this drive, if you want to create in the C drive, okay, so what we can do is file creation in another drive. Okay, so what you can do is let's copy that path. So with open, I will paste that path and slash I'll write hello world dot text file. This is my file name, and I'll write the operation w operation, okay, as f. Here I'll use something else, okay. I will use w, okay. So w dot write, okay, I'll write hello world, welcome to my world, something like this. Okay, execute it. Now let's open the page, and you can see hello world. Let's view details. .py text document, you can see hello world. So created on 31/1/2023 just now. Okay, so open this one, you can see our text file created. Okay, so that means any path you want, okay, so any path you want you can mention here, and you can create a file in that path. Okay, you just need to mention that path and you can add here. Okay, and there is one more thing. Let's create path as a separate variable. Okay, path as a separate variable. So I'll just copy this path. Okay, so this is my path. Now what I'll do is with open, I'll say path plus, I know this is my path. Okay, this is my path. So path plus, I'll write the file name. Okay, so Avinash sample dot txt. I'll use write operation as file write fw. Let's say fw dot write. So I will write. So this is another sample text file. Execute. So now like this also you can give your path. So always you don't need to write your path. You can use a variable and you can add it here and you can write it. So let's check. So another file created. So you can see Avinash sample. The file is created. This is another sample text file like this. Okay. So this is how you can create your files. Okay, you can create your files at any path you want, you can create. Okay, and now next thing is reading the file. Okay, so with open, same thing. Okay, so with open everything is same. Okay, everything is similar. Okay, but instead of w you will use r for read. Okay, for reading you will use r, and here also you will not use all this, but instead you will use fw file. You can change this if you want. Okay, fw or anything, I'll just put it as it is. Fw dot read. Okay, read. So you are reading the data. So now print your data. You can see the data that was stored inside that file you are reading. Okay, simply you are reading whatever the data that is present inside that file. You are reading that file. Okay. So yeah, and coming to the next case. So reading is simple. Okay, so you can read whatever you want. You can read like this. Okay, and coming to the next case, adding data to existing file. So normally adding is nothing but we are writing more data. Okay, we are writing more data. So if we add, so say for example for this Avinash underscore sample.txt file, we have this data. Okay, now I wanted to add something else. Okay, something new data adding into this file. Okay, so execute this one. Now what happens is if I open, whatever the previous data is there, that is gone, and this whatever the new data that was there, it is there. Okay, but the previous data is gone. Okay, but the previous data is gone. So whenever you are using write for existing file, whatever the previous data that is there, that will go, and only the new data will be present. So for this kind of scenario, you have to use append operation. Okay, instead of write operation. Okay, instead of write operation, you have to use append operation. Okay, so that new and old data both will be present. Okay, so with open, I'll copy this. Okay, so here instead of w, you have to use append for a for append. Okay, you can use a. So now fw dot write, the same thing, execute it, and I'll write more into this one. So more data is going to get added, something like this. Okay, so I have executed something new data again, and also I have executed more data is going to get added. So let's open the file, and you can see something new data is getting added, something new data getting added, more data is going to get added, something like this. Okay, if whatever you wanted to add, you can write, and if you wanted to write in the new lines, you can do write lines. Okay, so let me copy this one. So paste it. So instead of write, I'll use write lines. Okay, so here I'll change writing lines is implemented. Okay, so let me open this. So it's still there. Writing lines. Maybe we have to use slash n only. Okay, let's use slash n. Okay, so that it will go into the new line. Okay, yeah, slash n. When you use slash n, it goes into the new line. So like this, you can write, read, append your data, okay, into the files, into the same file, existing file, or any new file you want. It is going to get added. So like this, at any path, okay, any file you can create, and you can add your own data, okay, and you can read the data, write the data, and append the data. Okay, so this is how file handling happens. Okay, of course we'll go much deeper with file handling and all later in the later more sessions. Okay, because in the whole data science course we will completely deal with files only, because the data will store in CSV files, Excel sheets and all. So later mostly we'll try to work with Excel sheets and CSV files, and when it comes to natural language processing, we'll deal with the text files. Okay, because it is normal text that we deal mostly, so we'll try to extract the text from the text files. So like this. Okay. So this is of exception handling and file handling are dealt in Python. Okay. So any doubts, anyone, till this part? Any doubts in the last class also is fine.